Bordering Caracas, the capital of Venezuela, a South American country, there are places that will surprise you, making you feel as though you're in the heart of Europe. Indeed, not just one, but two completely different spaces. One preserves memories of the past, while the other is shaped by the way people choose to live every day.
Tôi yêu vua Việt Nam. Yeah, gracias.
There you'll find vibrant cultural stories that make you wonder, is this Venezuela or somewhere far away? One journey, two cultural dimensions, and perhaps a completely different perspective on this world. You will understand it better when you step into my story today. And it's really delicious. All right, let's hit the road. Good morning. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Right now, I'm in Caracas, the capital of beautiful Venezuela, the land of beauty queens. But unfortunately, I won't be introducing you to any beauty queens today. Instead, we're going on an adventure right here in the heart of the city. I think it's going to be quite interesting. Let's head out. Caracas is more peaceful today than I expected. But once you step out onto the streets, you'll see a city that never truly stands still. The roads are filling up with vehicles weaving through every little gap. There's the sound of car horns, and you can even hear people calling out to one another. Music echoes from every corner of the street. It all blends together, creating a rhythm of life unique to the Venezuelan capital. Shops are open, people chat and trade as they begin a new day, as if all the turmoil has been left behind. Caracas is that kind of city. Despite going through so many hardships and changes, the rhythm of life always finds a way to return. Sitting in the car and looking out, I suddenly realized that. Top times this bustle isn't just about sound or movement, but the way this city proves that it is always vibrant. As for today, my goal is to travel to the neighboring states of Caracas and visiting some very famous villages in Venezuela. Villages with a distinct European charm. Let's get started. Let me introduce Mrs. Hao, the wife of Ambassador Vu Trung Mai, our Vietnamese ambassador to Venezuela. This is a place known to many as a German village called Colonia Tovar.
It's a German village in the heart of Venezuela, just over an hour's drive from Caracas. This place features distinctive German culture and architecture. And they even host a beer festival here. They make traditional German products like sausages, beer, and traditional pastries. German food and German restaurants. It means the area is deeply imbued with German culture. So, are there any Germans here? I mean, people of German descent? They first arrived around 1841, when nearly 389 people began migrating here. They included technicians, carpenters, blacksmiths, as well as poets and writers. Because this region is situated at an altitude of over 2,000 meters and has a climate very similar to their home village, Kaiserstuhl. They chose this place to live because they liked the cool mountain air. They came up and built this village exactly in the traditional German style. Those were the Germans. They marry Venezuelans. So there has been a lot of intermixing. You will notice that almost all the signs here are in German. They can still speak a few words of German. Since they have been here since the mid-19th century, it is a very old dialect of German. However, the thing is, they have intermixed and are essentially Venezuelan now. If we stay here much longer, we'll end up only speaking Spanish and forget our Vietnamese entirely. Let me introduce you all. This is the village centre, Bolivia Square, where festivals are held. And here stands an ancient church. The surrounding area sells various handicrafts, locally grown produce, and traditional German pastries. This area has been a tourist destination since around 1960. When I stayed overnight, It was very cold, with temperatures sometimes dropping to between 6 and 10 degrees Celsius. At night, there are bonfires along with singing and dancing. It's a lot of fun.
Since around 1943, German immigrants from the Black Forest region have been settling in this place. They brought with them not just their luggage, but also their language, faith, and the way of life from their homeland. And for nearly a century, Colonia Tovar remained almost entirely isolated from the outside world. It was this very isolation that inadvertently preserved a culture that remains almost entirely intact. The people here once spoke an archaic German dialect known as Alemán Coloniero. The wooden rooftops, the narrow paths, and the gardens all bear the resemblance of a remote European village. But what is most remarkable of all is their faith. The residents here are Catholic, a faith brought over from Europe and preserved across many generations. The small churches, the feast days, and the rituals, it's not just about religion, it's also about how they maintain a connection to their roots. The culture here in Colonia Tovar is also clearly present in daily life. From German flavored dishes to festivals and music, it all creates a space where the past walks hand in hand with the present. Stepping deeper into Colonia Tovar, the European feel is no longer just a fleeting impression, it is clearly revealed in every detail. The houses here feature a style very characteristic of southern Germany, with half-timbered walls and steep roofs. With small balconies filled with flowers, it all creates a scene if you didn't know beforehand, many would think they were somewhere in Germany's Black Forest. Coming here, I am absolutely fascinated by this German-style architecture. The layout of the streets here also feels more European than Latin American. These aren't just buildings constructed for tourism, these houses have existed for hundreds of years. They have been preserved, renovated, and continue to be used to this day. What's special is that the architecture doesn't stand in isolation, it is deeply tied to the way people live. In the morning, you can find small markets where locals bring their own produce, such as vegetables, fruits, pastries, or sausages. Everything here bears the hallmark of a temperate agricultural heritage in the heart of Venezuela. Walking around here, I am suddenly reminded of Sapa. The area is lined with shops, eateries, pizza parlors, cafes, and German beer halls, and German beer is famous, of course. I don't drink beer, so it's a bit of a pity. I guess I'll have to start practicing after this trip. As for the locals, they haven't abandoned their old way of life. They've simply changed how they tell their story. From farming to hospitality, and from daily routines to cultural experiences. And perhaps it is all of these factors that have made Colonia Tovar so incredibly
đặc biệt.
In this village, they use these tuk-tuk style vehicles. Because at this altitude, there are many steep slopes, as you can see. Walking around here is quite exhausting. So they use these vehicles to transport tourists. A sightseeing tour around the village costs about $30 or more per trip. So, if you have a group of 5 people, for example, if we split the cost, it's only $6 each. Just $6. There are other price options like $35, $40, or more, depending on how much time you want to spend exploring the mountainous area and this Colonia Tovar village.
This is a cacao fruit. It is the fruit of a hybrid cacao tree grown here in the Aragua state. The cacao production process begins by extracting the beans and peeling the husks. The husks are used to make tea, which has antioxidant properties. Essentially, nothing from the cacao bean goes to waste. After that, they take them to be ground. And once ground, you get this pure chocolate right here. This is 100% pure chocolate. It's very bitter. This is dark chocolate. This is white chocolate. They recommend that we should consume dark chocolate. Dark chocolate contains a higher percentage of pure cocoa, which is better for heart health and provides positive energy. In addition, they also extract what is known as cocoa butter. This cocoa butter is very similar to coconut oil, sir. It's not for eating. They apply it to their lips to prevent dryness.
It's the main ingredient in lip balms.
Yes, that's exactly right.
If anyone has chapped lips, one application of this will make them soft immediately. In Colonia, Tovar. The cool climate not only helps the produce thrive, but also yields many products characteristic of a German village in the heart of South America. The locals grow strawberries, peaches, and plums and produce various jams, juices, and fruit wines. And most importantly, cacao, one of Venezuela's most famous ingredients. Processed into chocolate and combined with European baking styles, it creates a very distinct flavor. Alongside these are sausages, cold cuts, breads, and pastries. These are rustic dishes that have accompanied the Germans here for nearly 2 centuries. It's more than just food, it's how they preserve the flavors of their homeland in a completely foreign land. It feels like walking into a hunter's house. It seems these are all his trophies up here. This is the treehouse, a very unique attraction in Colonia Tovar village. It looks simple, but this house is built halfway up this massive tree trunk. And this trunk is about 3 arm spans wide. Everyone, 3 arm spans. And the roots stretch all the way up here. Leaving Colonia Tovar, I carry with me not only distinctly German images, but also the sense of a place that has preserved its identity for nearly 2 centuries. A small village, yet it holds a piece of Europe's memory in the heart of Venezuela. But the journey doesn't stop here, for right now, there's another place that also resembles Europe, but in a very different way. And this time, let's see which European country it takes after. Let's head out. Now, I'm going to buy a ticket to go up to the mountain peak and see the panoramic view of Caracas. A ticket for the cable car here costs $10 for foreigners with a residency card. Just for card holders, everyone. Now, I'm just waiting to board the cable car. Sitting in the cable car at Vila National Park as the city of Caracas gradually receded behind me, I was suddenly reminded of the cable cars in remote mountainous regions where I've traveled. The area is often referred to as social housing or poor neighborhoods high in the mountains. But there, the cable cars serve daily life and the needs of the locals. Today, however, this journey feels quite different. It's wonderful to behold the capital city of Caracas from such a height. In just a few minutes, we left the city's noise behind to enter another world where the air begins to mellow, becoming cooler and fresher. And this cable car is not just a means of transport. It's like a boundary between the familiar, Caracas below, and a very different Europe waiting above. The atmosphere up here is very cool and pleasant. Beautiful young women come here to take photos and check in. I've learned that one of the local treats that everyone loves up here is hot chocolate.
Una Miss Universo ganó en Vietnam.
Ah, sí.
Eso nosotros queremos en Vietnam.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias, hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
¿Cómo se dice te amo Vietnam en
Tôi yêu Việt Nam.
Long Yon Vietnam?
Tôi yêu
You
Việt Nam.
Vietnam.
Yeah, gracias.
Ah, ya sabes.
And they welcome me to their beautiful country.
Chí Minh.
À, Hồ Chí Minh đấy, mọi người đều biết đấy là Hồ Chí Minh. Ha, gracias.
Gracias, Ho Chi Minh.
Ho Chi Minh look like Bolivar.
Exactamente.
I truly feel extremely happy whenever I visit a country and say that. As Vietnamese people, everyone expresses their love and appreciation for us. Everyone. There's a signpost here pointing to Galipan village. I'm gonna head down to visit this village. Okay, let's go. I just asked for information to get to Galipan. We'll need to take a vehicle. The cost for that vehicle is $5 per person for a round trip. We'll probably be riding in vehicles like these. Any of the 5.
Au. Ay, chay.
Que tuviera cuidado, justamente.
Sí, no sabía.
Hello? The road into the village is very steep, and the entire surface is paved with stone. In this area, people also get around using these very familiar off-road vehicles. This village is known for its significant Spanish cultural influence and was founded in the 18th century, meaning it was established 3 centuries ago, situated at an altitude of about 1,800 to 1,900 meters above sea level. That's why I've already had to put on a jacket. It's quite cold up here. Getting around here involves a lot of climbing, everyone. It's very steep and high up. Since the roads go up mountain slopes for transportation, people can rent vehicles like use this to get around. There we go. Very interesting. There are many shops here selling lots of chocolate and especially the famous hamburgers, everyone. The houses here are built with a very beautiful design. As you can see, they look very ancient. As I mentioned, this village dates back to the 18th century. It's beautifully crafted from stone. Being here reminds me of Ha Giang and the Hamon villages with these stacked stone walls hidden on the mountain slopes. Galipan village appears gently, like a quiet moment amidst nature. And now I see it's not noisy or crowded here. There are only small, steep stone paths. Flower-filled gardens where the air remains cool almost year-round. People come to Galipan to grow flowers and coffee and to craft artisanal goods like jams, fruit wines, and simple, traditional family dishes. This is a beautiful village, bearing the hallmarks of Spanish influence from the colonial era. When they first arrived in these mountains, they chose to stay. Not just for the cool climate, but because it gave them a sense of home from across the ocean. Over time, Galipan didn't become a European replica like Colonia Tovar, but evolved into its own unique version, with a culture that blends Spanish, Venezuelan, European, and South American influences. Everything here is created by nature, including the way people choose to live in this environment. Besides using off-road vehicles or motorbikes, people here can still get around on horseback. I suddenly feel like I'm back in one of those villages in Lungku, guys. And over here, I've met people who say that Ho Chi Minh is just like Simon Bolivar, the hero who liberated the nations of Latin America. As you can see written here, he liberated Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, Bolivia, Panama, and Peru. That is why whenever people mention Ho Chi Minh, they do so with immense respect. This is a stone church. It looks very ancient and appears to be closed. The village was built in the late 18th century. Then I believe this church was established around that same time. Since the Spanish were a very devout people, they built churches wherever they went. They are neither too large nor too ornate. The stone walls, tiled roofs, and lush greenery make this place feel like a small corner of Europe tucked away in the high mountains. People come to the church not only to pray, but as a habit, a part of their daily lives. And perhaps it is structures like these that contribute to the unique identity of Galipan. These are the grapes, and this is Spanish wine. If you visit Galipan without seeing this ancient stone church, it's as if you've never truly set foot in this beautiful Spanish heritage village. The village doesn't need to be exactly like Europe, yet it is enough to give people a sense of a familiar space in a very distant land. This stone church is a very important highlight when visiting this Spanish village in the heart of Venezuela. Galipan is a beautiful, charming little village. It's like a dream drifting and settling halfway up the mountains in Caracas, Venezuela. It's a cultural blend between Venezuela and Spain. And I find that today's story is quite interesting. Although the village is quiet, it provides a sense of true peace and tranquility. And so, in a single day, we have journeyed through many different cultural layers. From Colonia, Tovar, where Europe was brought and preserved almost perfectly through time, to Galipan, where Europe does not come from memory, but is instead shaped by the way people choose to live. Two villages, two stories, yet both coexist in a country with such a strong Latin American identity. In this place, the vibrant and free-spirited nature of Venezuela does not diminish these distinct cultural nuances. On the contrary, it even seems to embrace and protect them, making them even more special. Perhaps the most interesting thing does not lie in which place is more like Europe than another, but rather in how each place preserves or creates its own unique identity. And standing in the midst of those spaces, I suddenly realized that culture is not something fixed. It can move and it can change. Yet, if it is deep enough, it will always find a way to survive. And in the heart of Venezuela, I saw Europe. But above all, I saw how people preserve and retell their own stories. Goodbye for now, and see you again on our next journeys.